how I ended up here in the first place, streaming crafting stuff. Tapestry crochet is a crochet technique that uses multiple colors of yarn in a single row to create patterns and textures. Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about there. I've never heard it called that though. Hey, Ams, how are you? Thank you for the check-in. We do have ads incoming any second, yes. Don't worry, you won't miss much. Well, that's part of it, Nanami. I feel like I definitely have that too. I don't have a lot to contribute, I don't think. You know, I'm mostly just kind of hanging here with you guys. But on the same note, like one thing that I really like to contribute is showing off some of the really great people that not everybody may have heard. Especially with my nighttime schedule, I think it really, well, there goes that ad time. Especially with my schedule. That's all I was going to say. That's it. I think that because I do stream late sometimes, it benefits everybody that I can get the word out. Right, Cameron? Yep. I'm sorry that you're not doing great today, Ams. I hope you get a wonderful sleep and that it helps you feel refreshed, honestly. I hope it really helps. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Thank
It's
you,
all coming
Ams.
together.
I can usually stream in my mornings, which I think doesn't work for other time zones. Yeah, Cameron. I kind of, it's weird. I don't really like streaming early in the day. And obviously, I do that at least a couple times a week. But I don't really like being awake that early. But on the same note, it's really nice to get to intermingle with some different streams. When I wake up late, like I miss a lot of like 9.5 streams. Um, Zakayla stream, Moko. I miss a lot. Today was not one of those early days, unfortunately. We were a very late riser today. I woke up and the sun was down less than an hour later. You know what I mean? Night owl vibes. Yeah, well, Kim for the Day is an evening streamer, so I don't ever miss hers. Fortunately for me, she pretty much perfectly fits my even screwed up sleep schedule. So I never miss that one. It's always nice though that even when I wake up, sometimes, I can still find 9.5 or Hicks or Zakayla going. And I really hate streaming when they're live, but I love that I've got my stuff set up so that I can actually physically watch the streams while I'm streaming. That's one of my favorite things that I've done this year for sure. Set it up that I can sneakily watch things that you guys can't hear. Even if sometimes I screw up and you guys end up hearing a snippet of them. Or seeing the stream pop up on the channel. For just a second. Yeah, no, I mean, night owls win, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Ruthless. I need to check. Okay. For a little bit, I was sneakily listening to audiobooks while streaming. Yeah, I have done that. I have absolutely had audiobooks up in the background that you guys couldn't hear. But that interferes with music stream, so I don't do that very often. Like, the music is for me, but I think that people have come to expect it. And I think they'd be like, hijinks. You know, you forgot to turn the music on and think something's wrong? If I'm sitting there just listening to audiobooks. But I've absolutely sat and listened to audiobooks while streaming. Where nobody could hear them. It's nice. I have listened to some podcasts too in the past. Oh, that's not a bad idea. And I think that would probably work less for me for nighttime streams and stuff where Wild's here. But on the daytime streams where he's at work, that may be a good deal. I just don't like having everything silent in my ears. I haven't been officially diagnosed, but I'm like 99% sure that I have pretty bad tinnitus. Whenever it's like there's not stuff going through my ears, it almost sounds like somebody's in my ears whistling. There have been multiple times that I've been going to sleep and it sounds like somebody's whistling outside, and it turns out it's just my fucking ears. It's bad. And sometimes it gets so loud that I can't even hear anything. All right, Ems, have a wonderful sleep. I hope that it helps you refresh very well and wash away the icky.
Yep. Get some good rest.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking terrible, Nanami. And you know, it's funny, I've had that ringing in my ears and buzzing in my ears thing for most of my life. I thought that was a normal thing. And I have training in a medical job in which I learned what tinnitus is, and for some reason it still didn't click. It's kind of like rosacea. I've heard of rosacea. I know what rosacea is. I know how to code rosacea in the DSM and all of these things, internal classification of diseases, all this stuff, and it doesn't matter because for some reason it didn't occur to me that what I have is rosacea. It's weird that there's a disconnect there. But yeah, so it just never connected to me that that was tinnitus in my ears. I thought those were normal sounds. And I thought that when people talked about things like beeping and, you know, stuff like that for tinnitus, that it sounded much more different than what I actually hear. But it's not. That's exactly what I hear, and I didn't know that. Yeah, Ruthless. But yeah, so I hate having silence in my ears. It's very, very irritating. Ha ha ha, get it? Irritating. To have my ears be silent. I did show stream one day what it sounds like in my ears while I'm streaming. For just a little while. And everybody is like, oh, it's not that bad. And it's like, okay, maybe when I've got like 3 stream volumes and music and Wild talking in my ears and all of this shit happening, maybe it doesn't sound that weird until you realize that I have full volume for me. You guys don't hear it that loud. It's like there's people screaming in my ears every moment of my stream. So yeah. Boop. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good, and it was purely accidental. I didn't do that on purpose, but it was perfect. Oh. Oh no. Okay, I did it. Sound of silence. Yeah, a non-entity. Yeah, Nanami. I get it. Yeah, so I haven't been officially diagnosed with tinnitus. The last time I tried to get a diagnosis for anything, it didn't go well, so I just haven't tried. But I don't know if there's much they could do for it now. Yeah, Cameron. I put headphones on to help me focus on stuff and to throw people off when I'm trying to do stuff. Yeah, ruthless. You're that guy, right? Like, I'm the kind of person that I'll go outside and somebody in my apartment complex wants to talk to me, and I'll just be like making sure to have something that's playing sound on my phone. Most of the time, I pull up a Twitch stream, and they have no idea that I'm just watching a Twitch stream and not having an active conversation with somebody. Thanks, Twitch. Unfortunately, there's a couple people they see me on, they're like, "Oh, there's the lady who's always on her phone," and I'm like, and then they talk to me anyway. Yeah, ruthless. Worked at a place where I was trying to focus on the people in the cube next to me and were loud and distracting. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, Nonami. That makes sense. Oh my lord, I couldn't have handled it, Nonami. I get it. Yeah, ruthless. Yeah, the one lady in my apartment complex that gets annoyed if she sees that I'm on my phone, which again,
Look at the size
most
of
people
that thing.
I do that anyway. I don't do that with her. I actually enjoy talking to her. But she sees that I'm on my phone, you can see her get audibly annoyed. Not audibly, visibly annoyed. You know what I mean? Look, it's a day. Yeah, Cameron. Like most people, I just don't want them to talk to me. But there's a couple that I'm like, sure, let's talk, but not always. Sometimes I'm kind of talking to my boyfriend, and they still they still think that I should stop talking to my boyfriend. to talk to them. Yeah, ruthless. Who would play electronica at low volume in the next cube all day? Oh my god. Oh my lord. I bet that was great. I could just picture it. Oh shit. Forgetting the jumping thing doesn't work if I have a 3 to 5 second delay on my phone no matter what. Yeah, Cameron. You just gotta try to think 3 to 5 seconds ahead. You just gotta try to think 3 to 5 seconds ahead. Easy. Like Wild at one point had it figured out that if the star was at a specific point, that's when he jumps and it would be just right. And there are definitely people who could get it like every time. I don't know if they still can. I've got like fiber pieces in my eyeball, chat. In my eyeball. Wild cheats, that's true. He's a big cheaty face. Hello, Gamma. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. It's going to be pretty when you're done with it, right? No, Nami, I'm absolutely in love with this freaking thing. If you've been here, Lurker, then you already know that. I've probably said a million times that I'm obsessed with this freaking pack or project. Pattern, project, same thing. We are sailing past the halfway point. I'm almost done with the 7th repeat. Oh, I screwed up. We only have to do 12 repeats, so we're on number 7 right now.